morning, friends. Today we will discuss the 5 primordial fundamental qualities of soul as discussed by Lord Krishna in Bhagwad Gita. And I will be using certain verses from the Bhagwad Gita to help explain what that quality essentially entails. So, the first quality is eternal indestructibility. Second quality is prone to progress and devolution. Third, based on its progress or devolution, its embodiment in the material energy of Prakriti. Fourth, its presiding power over the mental faculties, being senses, mind, and body. It is the supreme authority over these mental faculties. And fifth, silence witnesser of the various activities, karmic progressions occurring during embodiment, but not claiming credit for any of these activities. So those are the 5 principal elements. Let's jump to number 1, eternal indestructibility. What does that mean? It means, unlike the material world that is created and destroyed, the soul is the knower of this field. So it is not subject to the makeup and breakup. It will be persisting before and will before the creation was created and after the destruction occurs. It is not subjected to the parameters of space, time, and mind. It transgresses all of these boundaries. So the verse that Krishna uses in Adhyaya 2 or chapter 2 is about the indestructibility of the soul is Nanam chindanti shastrani nanam dehati pavaka nach nanam kledantayapo na shoshyati maruta, which means the soul cannot be cut using weapons, it cannot be burnt using fire, it cannot be wetted or moistened using water, and it cannot be dried by the air. So none of the Prakriti elements can damage the soul in any ways. Only thing that can damage the soul is karmic activities during embodiment, to which we will come. And that's why he says to Arjun, Jatasya dhruva mitir dhuvam janmitasya cha tasmat pariharte natvam sochitu arsi. What is born will die, which means the embodiment of the soul. But if it is going to be dying, that is its natural progression. So why do you want to lament over it? Just do your activities while you have this power and position to be exercising the 5 senses and the mind and the body. So eternal indestructibility is number 1. The second is prone to progress and devolution. What does that mean? It means the soul is on a path to attain the Brahman. And in its path, it is obviously going to be going through these experiments or examinations where it has to prove its mettle or its superiority in terms of claiming its right to stay with the eternal abode of Brahman or the collective consciousness that pervades this universe. So that thought process has to be very carefully exercised by the soul. And that's why it has to be very selective in the kind of activities it is engaging in, what we call the doctrine of karma. And based on its activities, if it is established in Nishkam Karma, which is selfless service, and Dhyan Yoga, which is introspection, analysis of yourself in terms of identifying who am I, then it is on the right path of attaining the Brahman. On the other hand, if it is engaging in activities which are based, which are grounded in motivation to have some material pleasures, then it is going to have reactionary fruitive activities and the continuous cyclical embodiment, one after the other, without causing any progress during these courses of embodiment. So, the progress can happen, as Krishna says, Suchinam Srimatam Gehe Yog Bhrashto Bhijayate, which he says that once a person who was traversing the yogic path, if he distracts and deviates, then the next life he will pick up from where he left and he will be born based on his good activities in the houses of pious people, wise people, prosperous people. So, and he can carry forward his past inclinations, intuitions from that point on, and will be inadvertently attracted, inexplicably attracted towards pursuing the path of Brahman. That's why it's the path of progress for the soul. Also, the soul can take a path of devolution. Mind it, it's not destroyed, it's undergoing devolution or regression in its power to reach its ultimate abode, the Brahman. So when does that happen? That is explained in the chapter 16 when he says, Ahankar balam vardham kam krodham cha sansritam mamatma pardeheshu pradvikshanto besuya. So using ahankar or arrogance, bal, which is forceful, and these kind of negative energies, hypocrisy, lies, you are getting caught in this karmic cycle, and you'll digress into the lower yonis or the lower species. As he says, Tanaham dushta kruran sansareshu naradman chipame jasram shubhana shurishvev yonisi asurim yonima panna mudha janmani janmani mam prapyev tato yante dhamam gate. So these people, I twirl them into the Mayic worlds, into lower and lower yonis or species, and there they have to bear the actions or the reactions of their past karmic activities. And that's why they are kind of devolving lower and lower with very little chance or hope, opportunity to transgress again to the Brahman abode. So that's why soul, depending on its karmic activities, can tread a path of progress towards self-realization, realization of Brahman, or it can digress and regress and devolve into the lower species, which we see all around ourselves, the cruelty of factory farming, and how life can be so painful and miserable for a lot of folks, unfortunately. The third one is embodiment. What does that mean? So of course the soul is inevitably indestructible, and it is on its trajectory towards higher goal, which is abode of Brahman. But to reach that final ultimate abode, the supreme absolute truth of Paramatma, it has to go through these cyclical periods of embodiment during every time of creation. So the cyclical period of embodiment refers to using different bodies that the soul will use, and will prove by Nishkarm Karma, which is selfless service, and Sthit Pragya, which is the stoic activities, that you are not going to be affected by emotions, or you're not going to be affected by other people's desires or your own desires from the body. And you are going to be setting your eye directly on your ultimate goal, which is the Brahman. So this embodiment is like a cloth that you are wearing. So you can think of it as the shlok that Krishna uses, Vasansi jirnani yatha vihai navani grihanti naro parani tatha sharirani vihai jirna anyani sanyati navani tehi, which means once, just like a man, cloths are old and torn, we discard them and put on new clothes. Same way the body is, when it's old and weak, then it is discarded by the soul. Even if we, the man, wants to stay with it, the soul will leave it with the last prana vayu of exhalation, and it will go and adopt a new body with a new pranic vayu of inhalation. So the soul has an agenda that is totally different than the agenda of the senses, the body and the mind, which is to enjoy and dip yourself in the temporary pleasures and seek more and more pleasures, because everybody in the end wants happiness. Whether the happiness is temporary, as dictated by the desires of the mind, body and senses, or it is permanent, as dictated by the happiness called bliss that is being sought by the soul. So two different agendas, two people working together, they have to work together to get to the higher version of themselves, the Brahman. So this is the embodiment, which is the body that the soul takes on during its journey to kind of either face the karmic consequences of its past activities, as well as to overcome those karmic consequences and go to the higher abode, the Brahman. The fourth one is the presiding authority and the supreme superiority over the mental and physical faculties. What does that mean? It means soul is the ultimate owner of this body. This body was given to the soul as a chance to grow, evolve and mature and go to a higher level, upgrade if you will, from its current status into a higher version of itself, towards the quest towards Brahman or the collective cosmic consciousness. So this is very well picturized and stated by Lord Krishna in Bhagwad Gita, when he says that Indriyani Paranyarunde Paramana, Manasastu Para Buddhiriyo Paratastusa. So their lowest level is the senses or the Indriyani, above which is the mind, above which is the buddhi, and above buddhi or intellect, and above that is the soul. So soul is above the intellect, the mind with the emotions, as well as the senses with the sensual pleasures, and of course the body, the gross body. That's why soul is at the highest level. And he even says, Shrotram Chakshus Parshanam Charasnam Granmev Cha Adhishthai Manushayam Vishyanupsevte. So it is the enjoyer of all these pleasures as well as the sufferer of all these pains, whether it be what you are enjoying through the senses of eyes, ears, smelling, tasting, touching. All these senses, it is presiding over. So Adhishthai means to preside over. So it's presiding over all these senses. Now, the last point, of course, it is an integral part of the Brahmin, the Tattvamasi. But we have to know that it is a very silent witnesser. As Katha Upanishad points you out about this charioteer analogy, where the soul is sitting in the car called body, and the chauffeur is your mind, which might wreck your car, or it might take you to your destination, which is Brahman. So the soul is a silent witnesser. It does not, although it is the owner and presiding authority over the mind and the senses and the intellect, it does not try to dictate the terms. It wants the mind and body and senses to learn from its past experiences and current experiences, intuitions, to tread the path of caution and go towards its ultimate abode, which is where it will be happy perpetually. So that's why there is a beautiful verse, the chapter 3, verse 27, Prakrite Kriyamarani Guneh Karmani Sarvarsha Ahankar Atma Kartaham iti manyate, which means all these good activities and bad activities are based on the material modes of nature, the sattva, rajas and tamas. But the body is not doing anything. But the mind along with the ego quickly take proprietorship. They claim proprietorship over the good activities to gain recognition, attention, and because of the inner emptiness, they are trying to confirm that they are really in control and they are good as they are sounding. But ahankar bhumur atma, so laden by this arrogance or ego, the atma starts believing that it did it. But in reality, the atma is nishkam nirakar. It's not going to do anything and will not have any shape. It is only taking embodiment in the form of different species that it goes in, and it is doing activities based on doctrine of karma as the senses, mind and body interplay to create the activities. So my friend, these were the 5 basic principles, fundamental characteristics of the soul: the eternal indestructibility, on the path of progress and evolution, embodiment in various species, lower or higher, presiding power and supreme authority over the Indriyani Mano Buddhirasya, or the senses, mind and body. And although presiding over these mental and physical faculties, it is not claiming proprietorship. It is desire free except the craving to meet the Brahmin. And ego is what tends to override it. So killing the ego is the right way to discovering the soul through Dhyan Yoga. Hope you like this video. Please leave your comments below. Thank you.